Yeah, that's one fine-looking barbecue pit. Why doesn't mine look like that?
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Starting off this video with yet another apology. You guys know I've been super critical about World of Warcraft lately, which is ironic considering how I've 180'd on Midnight and the World Soul Saga from the very beginning. And yeah, I'm frustrated about it too. It's irritating because I love talking about World of Warcraft. Anyone who knows me can see I get super passionate about it, and lately it's been tough to touch on this topic when you can't seem to find anything good to talk about. So again, I must apologize, but here we go again with another potential, and I mean, ooh, this may be one of the biggest major flops of all time if it ever happens. Hopefully I'll be able to talk about what I like in the story in the next video. Please let that be the case, because I am going to need that break for now. But apologies aside, today we need to talk about the recent Camelot leak, which is a product slate that details a timeline of specific releases strewn across the whole IP, ranging from 2024 and onwards. What it doesn't detail is a rumor within the rumor, brewed straight out of the favorite place, the rumor mill. And that, my friend, is that World of Warcraft may be careening towards a world reset.
Brother, what's that?
Now, there's many different kinds of resets to refer to, but I'll tackle those the best I can. But in my opinion, this is one of the worst ideas I've legit heard conceptualized for World of Warcraft as a whole. So, let's dig into this trash heap and ramble on as to why I think a World of Warcraft reset is a bad idea. A horrible idea, even, if you want to go by the thumbnail, so yeah. And it will probably destroy Warcraft if it goes through, so yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's first cover the two different kinds of reset before getting into the meat and potatoes of this. One hand, there's a time reset, which invokes more of what I've heard lately. Basically, it's where you take the comic book idea of basically just taking the world you've been living in and whacking it with a time travel or universal plot of erasing what's current and setting it back to the quote-unquote good old days, or simply setting the universe to a clean slate. And believe me, we'll be tearing that apart soon enough. But the other more, I'd say, appealing and better shift from this World Soul Saga is the Tonal Reset. Now, a Tonal Reset is more in line into what I think we should be getting following the events of the World Soul Saga. It's where you basically just continue on with the current timeline or universe and just hunker down from massive and giant-scaled stories of taking us on the world or universal threats to threats that are less catastrophic on a global or universal level, and more down to earth. A good example is what came after the events of Cataclysm. We stopped Deathwing from ushering the Hour of Twilight, and following that we dealt with the Shah, Lei Shen, and ultimately Garrosh and his true horde. Still major threats that threaten our way of life, but not in the same expression that Deathwing had in an almost, well, heralding the apocalypse kind. A tonal reset is most certainly the way to go, and would be better to do. You could even couple this with the world revamp that people have been asking for forever. Considering the reception players have given with the design of Eversong Woods, it would seem like a great time to return to old zones, starting areas, and our various capitals who could use that new coat of paint. And hey, that is something they're looking to do with the likes of Orgrimmar and Stormwind in the future, at least according to our good guy Ian. A tonal reset is far more respectful, and I'd say a needed choice to do when the World Soul Saga has wrapped up. And it goes without saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think the expansions carry on what happened before it was most certainly the best case. Yet, there are those that believe that completely restarting the universe via a comic book universe reset would be the best option. And let me tell ya, that ain't it, buddy. That ain't it. So now we get to the other option, where Blizzard decides to hit the universal reset button and completely reverts the start of the Warcraft narrative. Simply put, a whole time reset, similar to how Marvel, and mostly DC, have toyed with that idea. Now, I won't sit here and pretend Warcraft has been peaches and cream for its entire run. It's always been whipped cream and knives. Primarily knives. Don't ask me where I got that analogy. I don't know where I got it. I pull it from a hat. But in spite of its flaws, there were ideas that I liked, and those ideas were all executed too. If somebody asked me if I would ever go back to the days of Mr. Pandaria, reset the setting, and prevent Garrosh from time traveling, or Sylvanas shattering that helm of domination, personally, I wouldn't. I know, a huge shocker right there. Look, I may not like Shadowlands, and the World Soul Saga so far may make me want to rip my hair out and want to yeet Eretor into a vat of acid, but I would not retcon it, or those two expansions previously, or any expansion that I have problems with. I would not erase what happened there from mattering. I would not jump back into the past for the sake of nostalgia, and because that time period felt safe and, well, enjoyable to me. There were eras that I absolutely loved, but the past is the past. I couldn't return there even if it were launched as a classic server. Believe me, I've tried. Believe me, I've tapped that keg of classic Pandaria, and it just didn't taste the same. I did not want to sour that, and I left it be, and I went back on to playing the more modern expansion because that was far more my speed currently. I'm fine with looking back fondly on my time spent playing those expansions, and talking about it with y'all. You know I'll do that. You know I love talking about the previous expansions, the previous lore, whenever it suits me, whenever it fits my fancy. I personally think it's not only a bad call to gut some of those questionable and downright awful plot points that I couldn't stomach, but I think it's also disrespectful to just casually turn back the clock. There were expansions that people liked, not solely because of the content and story, but because they held such core pivotal moments in their personal lives. It's hard to imagine yourself as a 20, 30-year-old something, old person, raiding Icecrown Citadel now while their main tank is going through a nasty divorce. And now you have to deal with the fallout from their end, and play therapist and help them through it. Now, I'm not saying that ever happened to me, and it's a pretty bad example, but recapturing those moments as your older self kind of loses its magic and luster. You can argue that the same goes for your own character's arcs, growths, and developments too. That's a little bit more my speed. Erasing those in favor to making things easier does not mean it's better. World of Warcraft, while heavily inspired by comics, is not a comic book. It does have comic books though, it does have comics now and then. We got one with Lil Jon recently, and it was actually pretty good. But it cannot and should never erase chapters in its stories and yoink us back to the past in a cash grab for nostalgia. That's a lesson we learned from Classic. Warcraft is strongly built by its stories, by its characters, and it's been the very same for the past 21 plus years. And that's what I'm here for. I care about this world and IP so much, and if you break that by erasing what didn't stick the landing or move us back to an era based on attachment to the characters and setting, you're basically teaching us to stop caring. That you don't care about the past, and you're just erasing it for simplicity and ease. I'd go on to say you don't even care about the present by that extension too. When I didn't understand a piece of the lore, I didn't just shrug my shoulders and move on. I would go to the wiki, to videos, to books, and I had a lovely time figuring out who the heck Deathwing was, and why he was an important character, and why he mattered during Cataclysm. Because he wasn't in Warcraft 3. I only played Warcraft 3 from the Warcraft games before WoW, and he wasn't really in there. I think he was mentioned by Malfurion in Warcraft 3, when there were black dragons swarming about the burrow dens, but that's about it. And that yeeted me down the rabbit hole, where I began to show my passion for the game, specifically for its lore and its development. Without that background, without that respect of what came before it, you lose that passion, and you lose me. Those who also cared, you're gonna lose them too. You cannot erase that, especially since the past will matter and it will build up its future. Giving the World Soul Saga its graces for a moment here, what I generally liked about the expansions and even Metzen's pitch was the fact that he still kept past ideas he was not here for when he left at the end or sometime in Legion. I don't remember specifically when he left, but you remember it was during Legion. He ran with Battle for Azeroth, Shadowlands, and even Dragonflight storylines to build up his own stories still with this World Soul Saga, with War Within, For Midnight, and eventually, when we get there, Last Titan. There were beats from the original draft of War Within when Steve Nanuzer was leading that project that were still kept in this whole saga. And that, I will actually say, should be commended and appreciated, full stop. That's just how you do it. That's how you create the setting. That's how you run with the World of Warcraft setting. You don't just shove away what didn't work. You run with what kind of worked, what didn't work, and you try to make it your own. But to even think about a discussion surrounding a World of Warcraft 2, or even a whole universal reset, makes you beg the question, who is this even for? A new audience? Would this be for the writers to give themselves some levity to write the world how they want it, to make it easier for the players to spell it out in front of them? Whatever comes after the saga should be written for the fans, the current fans. And I can tell right now, this is not a good idea for the fans to have that story go up in smoke in favor of something new or nostalgia-focused. If the World Soul Saga is a celebration of all the storytelling that preceded, then what's the point of resetting that world? It's a bad call, and it isn't a celebration remotely. It's the opposite. Quite frankly, it's a slap in the face, and it only dampens the story they've been making for this long. I was already growing concerned at how it seemed like the saga was wrapping everything up, and not just the Void and the Titan storylines, but rather how it's wrapping up every story beat imaginable. And now adding a whole reset on top of that, after that, it's setting up for failure, and it's setting up for folks to leave en masse if that goes through at all. Hell, I don't see the point in sticking around if they go through with this remotely. I don't think I will. At most, I might check it out, and then probably leave. Instead, let's see what's left to contend with once the saga is complete. Give us Night Skull, the other sides of Azeroth, hell, let's see Avalorn, whatever that is. There's so many stories that are left up. I'm assuming Ajara isn't going to be dealt with in the World Soul Saga, and she would be a compelling figure to go to next. There's Magatha Grimtotem, there's the Scarlet Crusaders, there's the Defias Brotherhood, there's the Red Dawn. There's so many things that have not been really wrapped up yet in the World Soul Saga, and I don't think the World Soul Saga can cover every little thing, every little speck. I think there is a lot that they can do. And I don't think a reset, or a time reset, or what have you, is the way to go. I don't want to jump into a full clean slate. And I most certainly don't want to go back to Classic, or Pandaria. Well, a Pandaria revamp would be cool. Or whatever Classic iteration Blizz has cooking in the background. I want this story I've been experiencing to matter and continue to matter. I want to see what's next. I want to see a continuation of these storylines, not a reset. I hope they're paying attention, and I hope they don't go through this coveted rumor. Again, it's a rumor, and I don't think it's going to happen. I sure hope it's not going to happen, because right now, it's rotten to the world core. And that will do regarding my thoughts on this World Universal Reset ordeal. I needed to say something about this because it was circulating a lot on the internet, and I just didn't agree with it, and I need to throw my hat into the ring and say my piece. Personally, to me, it's nothing but a shit show, obviously. But what about all of you? What do you think about this? Are you for it, or are you against it? You have my blessings if you are against it. Give your opinions on what you think down below. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I've been Khono Chronos, your lovely time demigod and host. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos like this one in the near future. Be sure to join us on the Discord for more discussions with myself and my community, and a special thanks to the patrons and YouTube community members to help keep this channel alive and well. But until next time, my friends, see ya!